you all for being here this evening. We're going to Monterey Water District notice of a regular meeting Board of Directors. Notice is hereby given of a regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the District to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on the 12th day of February 2014 at the hour of 6 p.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the District on February 6, 2014 at 2:45 p.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-041, 551-050, and a copy furnished to the County Clerk at Cameron County, Texas. We do have the presence of a quorum. Absent today, we have Mr. Thomas. We may please have everyone stand for item 2, the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 3 is the invitation to the audience for discussion. Anyone at this time would like to state anything? Staff, members, board?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to, with the board's indulgence, I would like to pass out a copy of the last water district plan rate, the study that was done for the rate, and something that we probably need to consider and look at, since our revenues are coming in lower than they have in the past, and our expenses keep going up. This is for something that you all can look at home. It wasn't intended to really be in the agenda for this item, for this meeting.
My recommendation would be to schedule a workshop in probably April and have this as one of the agenda items for a workshop, would be my recommendation.
Okay.
Put this as an agenda item, and it's probably time for it's been quite some time since we've had a workshop to begin with, but I think it's probably time to start getting some items for a workshop agenda.
You got it. Okay.
Rudy?
Yeah.
Jeff? River? Everyone in favor of that? Okay. I would recommend sometime, I don't know when Easter falls in April this year, but
We'll look into it.
something like that.
Okay.
So it's be on the radar. At this time, anyone else like to discuss anything? Staff? Anyone like to come forward, say anything, or comments? Board?
I was going to say right now, it's looking good. We're busy. The weather's really kept us from going out in the field. There's a lot of work that's being done by all the farmers.
Excellent, Joel. Thank you.
Looking good.
I feel the board recognizes that. Moving to item 4, consider and approve the minutes for the regular meeting of January 22nd, 2014. So everyone had a chance to review their minutes. Are there any questions, comments, or recommendations? Motion approved by Mr. Garcia, second by Mr. Vela. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
They are. None opposed. Motion carries. Thank you. Item 5, consider and approve issuing a letter of support for Salt of the Earth application for the Texas Emerging Technology Fund.
I can start this one off. We been looking into this one, and staff recommends not to move forward on this one and just do away with it, because they are requesting the letter of support, but at the same time, there's some funding involved with it, and we believe that we don't need to support something like that. If they have their own business, they should have already, it's for the pilot study. So I'd say we just
As a public entity, I don't think it's in the best interest to move forward, would be my recommendation.
And,
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, I actually was getting some input, from I guess various sources, and as far as keeping this competitive, it'd probably be we just want to, if we do pursue a seawater option, I mean, just issuing an RFQ on a competitive basis wouldn't be in line with issuing a letter of support for someone specific at this point. So,
A public entity for a private entity, I don't think is professional.
But why are we approving him to issue a letter of appointment?
We're not going to.
We're not-
right.
No
We
support?
don't want to.
Yeah, we just said we're not
It was-
responsive to the email. We wanted to get some feedback before we took action.
But we do need to make a
And again,
motion.
action.
No action?
No
Okay.
action.
Robert, just for your information, that staff recommends that, and it's up to y'all, and, you know, but the board has a final say-so.
No, we understand, I just.
Mr. Chairman, maybe you make it, maybe you ask for a motion and then nobody does it, and yeah, we move on.
Okay. My personal opinion, I stated it, I don't think that a public entity should publicly support a private entity at any level. At this time, is there a motion? Going once. This time, is there a motion? Going twice, no motion. Moving forward, on to item number 6. Consider and approve change order number 1 for Cuates Pipeline Rehabilitation Project, RRP-13-04-01. Carl?
And yeah, this is of course the pipeline that Cornette's working on from Cuates Pump Station to Water Plant 2. And the portion of work from San Ramon Road to Water Plant 2 is already complete. And they've already started work on Evan 2480. But this last drain ditch crossing that they ran into right before San Ramon Road, the alignment started to get close on between because they're going parallel between the two existing lines and building right in the middle, but the line started to shift at this drainage crossing, and so they had to backtrack and add some fittings and relay some pipe, to get across this ditch crossing. So this change orders for that additional work that was due to an unforeseen condition for an amount of $1,650 that we're recommending approval to add to the existing contract. Which the original contract amount is $2,372,038.66. Plus this proposed change order of $1,650 would result in a new contract price of $2,373,688.66. So just running it by you for review and consideration.
Do you anticipate coming in under budget in other areas in this particular budget?
Well, if you look at the project balance, when we combine the pump station and pipeline together, our balance right now is still around $50,000 for that line item. So, the change order is within our existing funding that's available, and it's a legitimate, unforeseen condition where the contractor had to relay some pipe and add a fitting to get past the conflict that they ran into.
Move to approve, Jim.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Garcia, second by Mr. Keplinger. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
There are none opposed. Motion does carry. Thank you. Item 7, consider and remove for approval from the table the following item tabled on the board meeting of January 22nd, 2014. Consider and approve wet compliance plan for Port Isabel wastewater treatment plant. Charles?
Yeah, and again, this is a follow-up from doing some more research on this wet compliance plan, and we agree that it's better at this time to keep it in-house and not enter into an agreement with a consultant at this point in time. We found some additional data back in 2006 where we had found that the copper was actually a source water condition. So we also had done some improvements to the plants that had resolved our ammonia, which may have been another wet compliance problem. So we're going to coordinate directly with TCQ and try to handle our permit issues in-house at this time.
And again, on this one, y'all have to make a motion to
Remove
take
it
it off
from
the
the,
table.
remove it, I'll make a motion to remove it from the table.
One second.
Motion by Mr. Keplinger, seconded by Mr. Avella. Item is off the table for discussion and action.
Yeah.
Okay.
No motion?
There's no motion, no action?
Yeah, we need to vote.
Yes. Now you have to take it, now it's off the table, so now it's up
It's
for,
already off. Yeah,
is that a recommendation for approval, Rudy?
Yes.
I have a motion made by Rudy for approval.
Well, is this approval to?
No, that's to remove it, just to
Just
remove
take
it.
it off
No.
They removed it.
Right,
We already
okay, now
removed
we
it
have
from the
to go
table,
back and
so
consider.
we don't want to give it to the
engineer, the other engineering
No,
company, we're just gonna do it in-house, so we don't
in-house.
wanna, we don't need to make
He
a
did the
motion.
explanation earlier.
Okay.
So we'll do it in-house, so just, no motion?
No motion, just gonna leave it, okay. Moving to item 8, consider and discuss repairs and upgrades, purchase of vehicles and equipment from carried forward fund balance.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I think on this one, there was no motion, right?
No.
No.
Okay. Was it mentioned?
Right.
It was?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, missed, I said no motion.
No motion? Okay, good deal. I didn't hear that, sorry.
So we're at item 8.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I submitted a memo with a list of items that the administration is looking at. Let me start off by saying that we didn't submit this in the last couple of budget requests that we had made because primarily the budget didn't allow us to be able to add these items. And secondly, we wanted to submit a balanced budget. And of course, we were also looking at the audit to see what the final numbers were going to be at year end. We have that now. We have managed to increase our fund balance, and that's why we feel that at this time we can afford to do some of these infrastructures that need upgrading, as well as purchasing vehicles and other equipment that we weren't able to get into our budget. As I explained in the memo, these vehicles are in dire need of being replaced. We have some that are constantly being repaired, and we have also some infrastructure, some upgrading that we need to do to remain within TCEQ guidelines before we start getting calls or fined by TCEQ. So I submitted the items also. If you look at the page where the items are listed, I'm asking for $231,000. I should say we're asking $231,994 from the fund balance out of the WSDC and SSDC, which currently has $1.4 million in there. And we're asking for $205,000 from the unassigned fund balance, which has a $3,065,000 balance. Now, I know that the auditors, that their submission of the audit report did state that we should have a healthy fund balance, which would equal to about $600,000 a month to have on hand at least 6 months. Well, that would equate to about $3.6 million. In my mind, we do have that. We have the $3,065,000 plus the $2 million in the emergency fund. In either case, we have $5 million that are unassigned at this point, and if worst came to worst, we would be able to use those $5 million. But out of those $5 million at this point, I'm asking for $205,000 to be able to purchase the vehicles and get the equipment that we need.
I think it's,
Yeah. I need to say that I met with the budget committee. We met, was it Monday?
Right, on Monday we met with Mr. Garcia and we met with Mr. Freeman since this was a budget change that we were looking at, we called the audit committee so that we could discuss it with them. Yeah, the budget committee.
And like Mr. Gomez said, we couldn't include these things during the regular budget because we won't be able to come in with a balanced budget. So we had to wait on this. But after the audit came in, it was a real good audit, and we're healthy as far as reserves are concerned. So I think the staff, the workers need this equipment for them to carry on their job like they need to. So
how many vehicles are you talking about, Mr. Gomez?
We're looking at 6 at this point. I would like to add also, in the last 2 audits, like I mentioned earlier, we've added quite a bit of money to the fund balance. So just by doing this budget change that we're looking at right here, it's not to say that we're going to overdraw our current revenue and expense, or overdraw expense from the revenue, we could wind up to where we may be $100,000 as far as the deficit is concerned. The managers have been pretty good about keeping within the budget. As a matter of fact, the budget or the financial report that I submitted this past month in December, or for the first quarter, showed that we were $8,000 in revenue above expenses. I know that the financial report showed 168 or 160,000 in the deficit as far as expenses were concerned, but if we take out the 168 that we transferred from the general fund to the debt service to cover the revenue bond, and the actual expense is actually $160,000 less, which will show that the revenue was in excess of expenditures by $8,000. Having said that, we talked with managers in the past, and like I said, they're really good about keeping within the budget, and if we need to cut down the budget, I'm sure that we could look at doing that as far as curtailing expenses where we can afford to do so.
That's my only concern is maybe you might ought to talk to our financial advisors also. We have a 2000 series revenue bond out there, and if we start pulling money out of reserve, it might look, at the end of the fiscal year, it might look like that we're spending more than we brought in, and then we would have to send out letters to our bondholders saying we haven't met the 1.35% coverage for those 2000. We had to do that one time when Dolly hit in 2008. Scott was here and Mr.
There's also a letter included in the packet. Did you read it?
Mm-hmm.
There's a letter from the...
There was a letter from them?
Yeah.
Okay, I must have missed that one. So, that's my only concern. And my only concern is the timing of it too. Towards the end of the fiscal years, when you guys see that, hey, we're $500,000 ahead of the game, at that point is when we should have said, hey, since it's not going to affect us, as far as that revenue bond type thing, that's when we should have thrown in the trucks at the end of the fiscal years, because we've been adding 500 last fiscal year, 200, 200 the previous fiscal year. That's when I think we should have thrown in these trucks if they needed. Here, now. That money got thrown in the reserve, and I'm just concerned that it might look bad at the end of the fiscal year. That we're going to be short.
I understand your concern, and I agree with it. However, we do have, like I said, that $5 million, and just to
yeah, but we get looked at by every fiscal year when our auditors come in. So that's what we get graded by if we wanted to ever go out and get some more revenue bonds, which, who knows, we might have to do that here pretty soon. In the next few years, we never know. So I just want us to make sure we look good every fiscal year,
right,
that we have a little bit of excess revenue over expenditures. Having $600,000, I thought that's too much.
We are, and as far as I know, we are abiding by the corpus of the 2007
Good.
bond, in as much as we have in the debt service fund, in a CD, we have over $700,000 to make a payment for a complete year, and in speaking to Mr. Noel Valdez, who was the bond counsel, at least that's what he relayed to me.
I'm sorry, I missed that. No, I missed that part of the thing.
No, I didn't include that, but it is there, and I can, next month or next meeting, I'll submit a copy of the balance sheet, so you can see where we have that money.
The SDC monies, the system development charge monies, okay, let's spend it, man. We need to spend that, but it's,
I think that's a must. In my personal opinion, that's a must. The money's there, and we cannot have lacking infrastructure or be in close to violation with DCEQ. And I don't think that's even for discussion, personally.
And since you were saying our revenues have been down a little bit, because of the weather and everything too, they've been down, and plus people are kind of cutting back a little bit. And
you know, maybe piecemeal out these trucks, you know, buying these trucks, not get all 6 at once or something, and see it, you know, as you see how we're doing towards the end of the fiscal year, maybe step up. If you see we're gonna have a couple 100,000, boom, you know, or 100,000 extra, then jump on it.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
My concern with that, Mr. Kiplinger, is that some of these trucks are pretty old, and, I mean, most of them are at least 12 years old.
Then why weren't they done last fiscal year when we had over $600,000 of surplus? That should
We
be done
didn't know exactly how much we had.
Because they were not that old back then, you know.
What?
And you're in the problem right now.
What, November? They weren't that old in November, huh?
In November, I was
October,
67, now I'm
no.
68.
Oh, okay, all right.
I'm old.
All right.
We'll keep an eye on it.
3
anyhow.
months to get older, huh?
Yes.
All right.
We're still gonna bring on the next board meeting, the resolution for it, you know. we're not-
Okay.
Let me say something, these trucks, let me say something, John Wayne. These trucks do not sit here and they're using them. They create mileage every day. I would say I would go 100 miles a day. You all would do 150 or 200.
Robert, that's not my point, though. My point is that it's, you know, when these trucks were, you know, are bad, that's not my point. I know the trucks need to be replaced, but I just don't want us, our financial rating to get hurt by having 1 year where we show we spent more than we brought in. That looks bad.
That's why we have a director of finance. He's a guy telling us we won't have hiccups at the next,
I hope
at
not.
buy them, you know?
I hope
This
not.
is your opinion.
Yeah.
We're all right if we buy them.
I've talked to the auditors about that, and as far as taking out of the fund balance, and what he told me was, hey, that's money that you've all saved to use whenever you need it. And so that's the reason I was proposing that. But I will talk to Mr. Valdez, the bond counsel, and just to reassure ourselves that there won't be no hiccups, as he said.
Right.
And, you know, I don't foresee a problem, quite honestly, but I will talk to him, and make sure that there are no problems.
You can just email the response, you know, from
Yeah,
bond
that'd be
counsel
fine.
to us, just.
I know all this stuff needs to be replaced, but it's just, you know, just, when you guys see you got a lot of excess revenue at the end of the fiscal year, well then come to us and say, hey, let's go ahead and do this then, so we won't throw that in reserve and then have to pull it out later, you know, at the next fiscal year. So,
Well, our concern at this point is that because of the history on the repairs of these vehicles, along with the age, they're more of a liability on the roads than anything else.
Yes, sir.
And I would hate for us to get sued by somebody where we would wind up losing more than what we're actually.
Y'all have to put your feet through the floor to stop? Oh, that was Huicho? Okay. All right.
No
But
pun
yeah,
intended.
we'll keep an eye on that, Mr. Kiplinger.
All right.
Who do you say we're gonna call?
No, Valdez.
That's about it.
Bond.
Can we make a motion to approve it just in case that Mr. Valdez says it's okay? Email him or whatever?
We can approve it without Mr. Valdez's, you know.
Okay, we can
approval
approve it.
anyway, yeah. But it's not on, this
It's,
agenda's just for discussion.
Yeah, we have to wrap this up. Are we
Next
finished
one. Discussing this?
That's still
The next
discussed,
one.
right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're moving on to is that correct? Moving to number 9, consider and approve budget amendment to carry forward fund balance for repairs and upgrades, purchase vehicles and equipment.
And at this point, I would like to apologize to the board for, I guess it was the lack of my knowledge as far as parliamentary procedure is concerned. I failed to make a resolution, and I was reminded by Mr. Galvante that we needed a resolution. I will present that at the next meeting, if you all desire. We still have that budget amendment, if you care to approve it.
My recommendation personally, I'm just going to state mine, I think that the infrastructure is important, and I believe the equipment purchases are important also. That's my recommendation.
I'll make a motion to go ahead and approve the budget amendment.
There's a motion made by Mr. Garcia, and there's a second by Mr. Vella. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? None. Motion does carry. Thank you. I think, moving to item number 10, consider and approve the disbursements. Everyone had a chance to review the disbursements. Is there any that need to be discussed? If not, there's approval for them all. Motion made by Mr. Keplinger, second by Mr. Vella. Motion carries. Moving to item number 11, General Manager's Report, Membrane Technology Conference.
Yes,
Carlos?
I just wanted to mention that, make sure, did you, get
Yes.
everything set up?
I need to get with Rob, I guess drop something off to Robert and get a form or something.
We took care of Mr. Whitey Thomas's also. We switched over and canceled. And I did the same because it was pretty expensive. But we did our best to cut down and
I got it for
make some changes.
Sunday night, I think I booked it for Sunday night.
Yes, Sunday night, same here. Anyhow, and then just wanted to mention that we got Mr. Kenji Hoshino to come with us in Mr. Garcia's place. So y'all can be aware of that too. And that's it on that. We're set to go. And then if y'all have any questions, just go ahead and call us, see what we can do to help you out.
Okay. Anything else, Carlos? Anything else? Okay. Moving to item number 12, District Engineers Report. Item A, Water Treatment Plant number 2, microfiltration improvements. Charles?
All right, so the status of our water treatment plant, is on January 30th, we got a approved TCEQ study from TCEQ. So that's really the final document that allows us to operate. We did get it approved for 8 million gallons per day. So basically, there's one more letter coming at the end of the month from the state for some direct integrity testing, and that'll be the final letter that we need for state approval. We got the all Tech on site last week, so we've begun commissioning phase. We started up the MFE pumps today, and we're probably going to be running water through the MF process middle of next week. And so by the end of March, basically, we'll be training our operators and have the MF units online where they'll be feeding the distribution system. So that's basically where we're at with finishing off the MF process and getting it online. With the building, the parking lot on the outside still pending for the emergency power upgrade. The automatic transfer switches and generators should be getting here in early to mid-March, and then the main switchboard will probably get here around April. So I guess the last pending item is going to be getting our backup power in place. But other than that, it's on schedule to where the final testing.
When do you say the startup's gonna be? Is it gonna be a startup or a trial startup or what?
Well, today we set the impellers for the feed pumps, for the cools pumps, and got those working. And so next week, we're going to probably get the actual modules or the membranes here on site and start running water through everything and get them installed probably the week after that. And then through the end of March, like the last week of March, basically we'll be feeding our actual distribution system with a microfiltration membrane.
What I'm asking is are you gonna have a trial? You're gonna be testing it because it's bound to be something wrong, at the first one.
Yes. I mean, the first week, what they've been doing right now is they were checking all the air piping, and they found some leaks, fixed them. They added some sampling points that were missed by the contractor. They were checking all the communications. The plant communicates now. That's basically what they've been doing the past week. And so they're taking it step by step, getting each portion of the plant system working. So that's why it's an 8-week process.
What I'm asking is, are you going to be bypassing something so you can be working with both kinds of filtration?
Yes. Next week, we're adding a flume to our production water line. So we're going to be pushing water through the membrane filters and just discharging over the hill. But at the same time, the dual media filters are still feeding the clear well in our system. So since we have 2 valves between the clear well and the filters, by opening one or both valves, we can be feeding both directions as needed.
This is what I'm saying, because you don't want to be caught in time. Spring break's coming up.
Right. And the thing is, since the filters we're still going to be using the existing filters through spring break, and so of course those have a capacity of 5 MGD, but our clarifiers already have a capacity of 8 MGD, so we'll be able to put that additional flow to whatever demand we need for the startup, and still meet our current demand for spring break.
Okay.
So we're in pretty good shape there at Water Plant 2. Lift Station 19, they poured the mud slab yesterday, so we'll probably be dropping in that wet well here in a few days. They're setting actually the wet well will get dropped in tomorrow. They were doing all the rebar for the foundation today, so we're kind of close, but hopefully we'll get off all that temporary construction easement by the end of the month. And then there'll be continual work in March, but that'll be all within our permanent easement. So that's how we're trying to schedule to get that one finished.
You'll be off the property owner's property?
Yes, that's really why we're trying to drop that wet well and get all the excavation equipment out of there before our timber easement expires. And so that's the schedule there. Other than that, I mean, I suppose, did you already get any questions on lift station 19 before I move on to this balance? All right. So,
When's lift station 9, you gonna get through with lift station 9, do you know?
oh, it'll probably go through at least the end of March. In March, they'll still be working on yard piping inside the lift station site. Really, what we'll be able to do in February is get all the major excavation work done, so we can have the excavation equipment off-site and just be working within our.
You're bypassing that lift station, that the one is right now? you're
Not
bypassing
yet.
that?
No, right now we haven't done that tie-in yet. We're working on the new wet wells, so the existing lift station is still working without being bypassed yet. Basically, when we put in the new valve vault and are ready to tie in the force mains, that's when we'll bypass for a very short period, and then bring everything in after we do the tie-ins.
Okay.
Is the spring break traffic gonna hinder the work on this?
No, I mean, the main issue is getting the excavation equipment out of there, so we're not taking up as much space as it looks today. And then at that point, we should have the new driveway coming off of Park Road 100, so we won't have to be going through Isla Grande anymore. We'll be able to access the site through the new entrance coming off the main road. So hopefully like that, we'll be able to keep working through the peak week or March.
By that time, you'll get all the dewatering system out, right?
Right, yeah, the dewater's just in there. The dewater will be gone in a couple of weeks. We already removed those speed humps on side of towers. Those were becoming a nuisance. So we finally found an alternate method for disposing of our dewatering and got those out of the way. So, yeah, they've had a few claims on that, but we've moved on now. So I mean, that's basically been probably the biggest issue where we've got a lot of public complaints on it. But other than that, we're making it work. Yeah. So I guess moving on to our balance on the spreadsheet, we basically updated the expenses in this column for fiscal year 14, just with the current invoicing that we've been doing for the past couple of months. And so on the committed column, if you look at the line item for the Series 2007 water and wastewater lines replacement, we still have a committed amount of $504,000, and that's for in situ form to complete the Laguna Vista sanitary sewer renewal. And they were supposed to mobilize here on February 10th, but there was some confusion on the reports, and so we went back and forth and provided some clarification. So basically, I need to get their new date when they're going to be coming down and getting started already. But that should be coming up any day now for them to start work out there. The next item for lift station 19, the $538,000. That's just the remaining amount of the construction contractor to finish out the lift station improvements. And basically we still have some balance in there for the water valve replacements, which are ongoing as we need work to get done out there. I mean, our balance right now for water valves is about $180,000 still. So, so hopefully you're in there to keep doing work as we need it. But that sums up where we're at with the Series 2007. Moving on to Series 2012 for the Quadras pump station pipeline. The committed amount, $1.3 million, is what's still in pending work for the contractors to complete between the pipeline and the pump station. And the same thing down as we go down to the water plant 2 microfiltration improvements. That $1.6 million is a big chunk of that is the actual modules for purchasing the membranes, which is the final poly invoice. It's about $850,000, and the rest of it's just the pending construction work that needs to be completed. That's an update on our bond projects. Any other
Good,
questions?
looking good.
Any other comments, questions? Moving on to, Carlos, are we done?
Yes.
Moving to item 13, Finance Director's Report. Robert, item A.
Yes, sir. As far as what I put on here, RCI records retention, as I think I mentioned once before at a couple of board meetings back, This is where they come in and they get all the equipment that was purchased, and they go back and enter that information into the RTA system that we have. That right now, that's where we have our fixed assets. So I'm looking at, now that I've hired the staff accountant, it'll give me some time to be able to do the transition that I've requested from the board from RTA into Encode, since we already have that in Encode, fixed assets. So, and the other is, of course, the inventory that we have in RCI system. So there's a couple of things there that we want to move forward with. As far as the other issue with RCI in dealing with our records retention, I submitted a copy of the business records retention schedule so the board could get an idea of the periods that we have to keep some of these business records. Although I ran into another retention schedule that I prefer, I think it's more realistic than this one. But in either case, we're going to follow that. I want to take some of this over. I think we're paying RCI a little too much for what we can do in-house. Basically on the records retention, what he did this last time, he came in and we had to box all our records. He looked at them, he looked at the type of records that there were, and he said, okay, this one we keep until 2018. This one we keep until 2020. So they mark it until when we have to keep it. And that's something we can do. We're paying $700 for that. So I feel that that's something that we can do. Also, they mark those items that have already exhausted their life, and so we need to destroy those records. So he marked the box for destruction. They pick it up, but they charge us approximately, he said it was $5 a box. It remains to be seen. Right now we have 62 boxes for destruction. That's another $300 on top of the $700 that we already paid them. So that's $1,000 that we pay them almost on an annual basis. One of the items that I requested on the equipment is a micro cut shredder that we can use to shred all these records. We do have currently a person that can help us with that, Ms. Lupe, who does the cleaning. She also she goes to everybody's desk and takes any papers that need to be shredded, and she can do that. She can do that on an hour or 2 hours a day where we can get rid of the records that we need to destroy. And that's one of the things. The other item that I brought up was bank accounts. On the bank accounts, we have the sale of land, which is $24,000. We have a bank account there. We have another bank account, which is the annexation fee of $32,000. We have a bank account which is asset replacement of $5. I don't know if you recall or not about the asset replacement, but we did manage to find a newspaper article where Mr. Capistran was interviewed, and he did state on there that he had opened 2 bank accounts. One was for the emergency fund, the other one for the asset replacement. Well, we put money into the emergency fund, but we've never done anything with the asset replacement. So I'd like to ask the board, if it's okay with you, I'd like to close these 3 accounts completely up and just put the money back into the general fund. That is about $56,000 that can go back into the general fund. On the sale of land,
That was from the Parks and Wildlife property, wasn't it?
so what was sold, yes.
Yeah, that was what we sold, and I think we left it in there in case we wanted to buy additional property or something. Wasn't that the intention of that?
That's what I was informed of, that if you all wanted to buy property, you could use that money. But the fact remains that if you want to buy property nowadays, it's going to cost a lot more than $24,000, so you're still going to have to dip into the general fund.
We don't need it in a separate account.
So that's why I'm requesting to put it into the general fund. And the same thing with the annexation fee. I mean, there's a separate bank account there which has $32,000, $32,800. I don't know, that might be enough to buy, to annex, pay for annexation for maybe some property, but it seems to me like we have done that in the past, but we haven't used that money. We've used general fund money. So this is money that will probably due back to the general fund.
But I think to close those accounts, we have to put them on as an agenda item, don't we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes, we
I
do.
think they have to go on as an
Yeah,
agenda
we-
item to close.
Okay, then I'll do that for the next board meeting. And because there are some other accounts in there, I think we have too many accounts, like the meter deposits, the water SDC, the sewer SDC. Those accounts can all be, we can still have the cash account in the general fund, but we only need one actual bank account that we can reconcile through all of those accounts. To me, it would save time, and I don't really see the need to have so many open bank accounts when we're really not using them.
Then I think the next meeting, why don't we get a list of all of them and figure out how we're gonna consolidate them and put them on a,
Okay.
you know, on a sheet and just kind of show where you're gonna push them to and
Right.
make an agenda item and have it for record.
All right.
What's that?
Yeah.
Those are my notes on.
And
on
check
the
with,
bank
just
accounts.
check with Carlos on the proper way to do it, and, you know.
Sure, okay. And the same thing with the debt service fund, we have two universal, we have a universal tax INS account, and we have a universal tax bond account. And I don't see the need for those two, because the tax money that we get is only to pay the bonds. And then we have two revenue bond accounts. We only need one to pay that bond money. I don't know why we have two accounts. So I want to do some consolidation here, and I'll bring that before the board at the next meeting. And then the last item I had, that was employees' benefit sessions that payroll schedules for the employees. We had a session on Wellness Center where employees had the opportunity to come in and register at the gym here in Portisville. This gym also has another gym in Los Presos that they can use either one. And we do it through a payroll deduction. It's at a discount of $25 a month. We also had some supplemental insurance benefit plans where Aflac came in. They offered different types of insurance dealing with cancer, heart, accidental or critical care. As such, we had Allstate who also offered the vision and the Texas life insurance, the identity theft protection insurance, and so on. So we do try to keep active for the benefit of the employees as far as the insurances are concerned, and give them the maximum that they're allowed. And that basically concludes my report.
Have you ever invited, like, an investment counselor, you know, like, I know they put money into the retirement, but sometimes,
We do have one,
Nationwide and,
Nationwide and
ING.
Inc.,
Oh.
ING,
That's two.
I'm sorry, I didn't mention it, but they were,
There you
they
They
try to
did
do
well.
something?
for,
go. The last one.
for supplemental, so they can set aside.
Yeah.
money.
Okay, good.
Oh, we did finally get our iPad, or not pad, notepad.
Excellent.
If I could get it to stay on, it would really be cool.
We getting this stuff on the website yet?
One more.
I'm sorry?
Are we getting video on the website yet, our meetings? Our meetings are being
Yeah.
put on there? I haven't looked, so.
Yeah, they have been there. I saw the first 2-3 meetings, so I'm assuming that they're still going up in there.
So we'll get them on YouTube. Moving to item 14, executive session permitted by the Open Meetings Act, VTCA Government Code, Section 551.001, at sequence under Section 551.071,
consultation with attorney to wit, item A, compliance with elected office duties and responsibilities. At this time, I'd like to table this. Juan's not here and we don't have a full board, so. That's fine. Do we need to make a motion?
Yes.
We do need to make a motion to table this.
Should do.
So moved. Motion made by Mr. Keplinger, second by Mr. Vella. Are all those in favor? Aye. And none opposed, motion carries. Item 15, consider an action on executive session items if necessary. Item has been tabled until the next meeting. Item 16, adjourn at 6:46 p.m. Thank you to all for being here this evening. We appreciate everyone's time and services.